One.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming. I would like to start out by having Team 5 introduce themselves before we present our proposal on implementing a social media policy for Schlumberger.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Wright.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Sanu.
Hello, my name is Francis Coronado.
Hello, I'm Aaron Nelson. Pleasure meeting you.
And I'm Jamie Kiefer. So through extensive research, my colleagues and I found that 84% of Schlumberger's employees and staff have used social media during work hours for personal use. And according to other research done by the IDC, 30 to 40%, so almost half of employees' internet activity is non-work related. Plus about $63 billion is lost to productivity annually, according to WebSense. Once our team became aware of this issue, we felt the need to implement a social media policy that addresses the proper use of social media in the workplace. So our purpose here is to establish an employee contract that outlines the rules, regulations, and use of social media during work hours. We'd like to provide our employees with a fair and transparent policy that describes the proper use during those hours of work. And we're going to outline the problems, risks, solutions, components, and recommendations involved in the policy. And we'd like to reduce the misuse of media in the workplace. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Francis, who will speak about risks involved.
Okay, the risk of not having an employee social media policy in place. The use of social media should be used effectively and responsibly. When improperly utilized, you run the following risks. Infrastructure sabotage. In the gas and oil industry, constant monitoring of temperature, pressure, chemical composition, and possible leaks is crucial. On-site equipment, safety systems, and emergency stop systems are vital and are usually monitored and controlled remotely. Social media platforms have become a cybercriminal venue to deploy attacks, which can cause devastating consequences, such as compromised systems, data loss, identity theft, and damaged equipment. Another risk would be the reputational damage. Negative information floating around on social media about Schlumberger can be damaging, particularly when it can be reached by millions within minutes. Misuse of company confidential information. In many cases, employees do not have malicious intent to expose confidential information, but the most innocent acts or requests can lead to disclosure of confidential information such as chemical composition of products, drilling techniques, and test results. We rely heavily on exclusivity of such information to maintain advantage over competitors. Negative impacts on employees' productivity and performance is another risk. Social media can have many different adverse effects on employees, such as lack of productivity that can lead to loss of revenue. Performance is also affected by employees are not working because they're not working to their fullest potential. That covers the risk associated with not having a social media policy in place. We can now move on to the solution.
All right. For the solution, the company can implement a policy that outlines what is and what is not to be shared on social media. During the work hours, employees should be mindful of the content that is being shared on social media. Because the employee is on the company's time, employees should refrain from posting information that will result in a conflict of interest in good faith. Do not discuss plans, politics, financials, or any non-public information. This may also include who interacts with the customer on social media and who publish content on behalf of the company. This is key because at the times, The company and its employees may or may not share the same values on public issues. So use company technology to control access to features on social media that is not permitted. Sorry about that, guys. During the work hours, if an employee is accessing social media using the company network or technology, certain social media platforms and features will not be accessible. Social media is sites that are not optional for professional use will not be accessible. For the establishment times, areas where the use of social media is not permitted, the company can encourage professionals. Oh, I'm sorry. Set aside a time and areas where use of social media is not permitted, such as during meetings or areas where branding companies' information is being developed. For example, on the manufacturing floors, cell phones, and social media use is prohibited. This keeps the employee and other employees safe while protecting the brand from the company. Develop a social media campaign to create a positive image for the company. The company can encourage professionals using social media by developing a social media campaign that reflects positively on the company. An example of the positive social media campaign are employees who are volunteering as a department at a food bank. A picture of an employee with a caption about their service to the community is positive and professional image that can be shared across social media platforms. And lastly, clearly communicate the consequences of violation of social media policies. To keep the employees in a personal mindset during the work hours, the company will clearly communicate what the consequences are for unprofessional behavior on social media during the work hours. An example of a consequence are the employee may be written up for the first offense, and the second time will reduce work hours for the second offense. And lastly, for the third offense they will be terminated. And now we will talk about Aaron's next slide about content and components.
Thank you very much, Chase. Okay, what we'd like to talk about now is the content that we think that all social media policies that we devise should contain, and I want to tell you about where we got those from. We did research with other companies in the industry, such as Duke Energy, to understand how they engage a social media policy. We also took a look at other large corporations around our size so that we could understand how other companies deal with such a large work base and manage social media when globally distributed. And what we found, I'm about to describe. Our policies should include a definition of social media and other online usage so that we understand that it's the online behavior where you can have profiles, whether it be on a social media platform like Twitter, LinkedIn, or Facebook, as well as other online forums where you could still speak or be perceived to speak on the company's behalf. Next, we want to make sure that we have a definition of use within the workplace. I'll cover that in just a moment because we know that our users have their work devices, but also their personal devices. We also want to explain a definition of use within working hours or when the company when you're on company time. That can be working remotely. That can be at a business dinner. That can be working from a variety of work sites with unorthodox work hours. But define what counts as work hours so that people understand when they should or should not be engaging with social media. We also want to address the use from company devices and the use of personal devices. While we can do some safety measures to prevent people from using from company resources, and during the risk, we heard the risk to our own infrastructure, but also we do not want people taking time using the back channel of their own personal devices, and we just want to establish the criteria in that space. Next, we want to protect company information. That includes proprietary information about Schlumberger or our customers, and that includes the equipment, the premises, and of course the products that we make. And finally, as an energy company, we know that safety is first, and that by being distracted, that has potential, as mentioned earlier, to pull away from attention to safety, detail, innovation. So we want to make sure that we prioritize that in all components of implementing our social media policy. And next, we'll talk about our final thoughts and conclusion.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. In any environment you work can have an impact on how you feel and how you perform, how you do your work. To do that, any company we choose Schlumberger should establish a policy that ensures a good relationship between the client and the marketer about the social policy. Also, Schlumberger should reduce the use of personal use of social media at work and do not permit anyone to post about their personal social life or family meeting or anything about the family on the work website. And also we should take a disciplinary action for whoever does not respect the company social media policy, and develop a strong company image on social media that connect to the world and attract people from everywhere to visit the company page. To summarize our research, we should say any company like Schlumberger should implement a social media policy. And also that social media policy will protect the online reputation and encourage employees to get involved in sharing about the online network. I mean, that's in our presentation about the social media policy.
Are there any questions for the audience? I'll hand it back to you, Jamie.
All right. We want to thank everybody for coming today and hope that everybody has a great rest of their day.
Thank you.